It's a Manchu. Welcome to Minecraft Bedrock vs. Java, where I play both versions of the game and compare them. I am here today in the Divergence SMP. It is a Bedrock realm where I and 9 other content creators, well, make videos about Minecraft. But this is Bedrock. I, a while ago, found this trail ruin and said that, I started to excavate and said, well, it's going to take a while to finish it. I have now finished excavating it. And I came here because today I want to talk about archaeology. I learned some things about how to do archaeology when I was excavating this site. And now that I think I've gotten a little better at how to do the archaeology, I thought I'd go into my long-term Java survival world and put what I've learned to good use to do archaeology even better. But this time in a Java world. Also, you like my shield? Is that cool? That's something you used to only be able to do in Java Edition, but now you can put banners on shields. Pretty neat. Anyway, to my Java world. And here it is. I found a trail ruin in my Java survival world, and it's perfectly pristine and untouched. I'm going to start excavating this thing and doing a proper job of it. I think the first step is I'm going to have to clear out these trees around here. When I did this on the Bedrock SMP, I set fire to the forest to try and save time, but I'm embracing the idea in every way that archaeology is patient and methodical. Well, that's some of the trees around here. I'm not sure how much to cut back because I don't know which directions from here this ruin is going to go. But before I do any excavation, you see there's some suspicious gravel right there. I'm not going to dig up any of it yet. First, I'm going to put out a grid pattern, so that when I excavate this area, I'll be able to note where everything I found came from. I'm taking this archaeology thing seriously. Now this is a thing I can do in Java Edition. Press F, D, and G, and it marks out all the chunk borders so that I can actually mark where the chunk borders are in a grid pattern. Alright, I have a feeling I'm going to have to expand that out further, but 4 grids is good enough to start with. Taking advantage here of another feature of Java Edition, exclusive to Java Edition. If I name these banners in an anvil, place a banner there, then use the map on the banner, and it marks the coordinates. There we go. There's another difference with Java Edition. With this Silk Touch shovel, I can actually collect the snow layers. In Bedrock Edition, even with Silk Touch, I just get the snowballs. I gotta be very careful around here. At first, when I did this digging in the Bedrock realm, I actually put up a beacon with haste, and this was probably a mistake. I did end up breaking a few of the blocks in the trail ruin that were actually part of the trail ruin by accident. By the time I was halfway through excavating that trail ruin, I figured out a more efficient way to do it. If I use moss and bone meal the moss, it will turn grass and dirt and stone into moss. What it won't do is turn terracotta or mud brick or gravel into moss. Alright, let's see. Wheat seeds, okay. And this was A1. You could probably guess at this point that this whole process is going to take many hours. So let me do you all a favor and cut to a time-lapse of the whole operation while I talk a little bit about archaeology. This dig took more than 5 hours. When I think of archaeology, I don't think of Indiana Jones or Lara Croft. They're grave robbers, not archaeologists. Real archaeology is careful. It is meticulous. It isn't trying to loot ancient tombs for lost treasure. It's more often sifting through ancient refuse piles, looking for things that people threw in the trash. Before those things were thrown away, they were kept and used, and then used up, broken, and discarded. These artifacts can teach us much about who the people were, how they lived, what things were important to them. Sifting through the gravel of the trail ruin, I found wooden hoes, wheat seeds, and beetroot seeds. These artifacts tell me that the people that lived here cultivated the land, growing beetroot and wheat. I found leads, which tells me they kept animals. In fact, based on these artifacts that some might consider junk, I formed a theory that the nomadic wandering trader we see in the world today are descended from the people that built these ruins. They raised llamas much like the wandering trader today. The wheat they grew was for feeding and breeding llamas, and also for making packed mud used in construction. The leads were for the llamas also. In a prominent building near the central tower, a loom could be found, which I theorize they weaved colorful carpets to put on their llamas just like the wandering trader does. It's difficult to visualize what the crumbled ruins looked like when they were new. Roofs are collapsed and littering the floors, large sections of walls and floors are missing. But if you consider the materials they were constructed with, there is a pattern. Bricks, mud bricks, terracotta, glazed terracotta, and colored glass are all made from mud, clay, and sand found in the beds and banks of rivers and beaches. Whoever these people were, they must have done a lot of smelting of those materials. The building materials used in the trail ruins is very different from those used in the ocean ruins, desert temples, and desert wells. This leads me to conclude that they were distinctly different civilizations, and I also believe the ocean ruins were from a civilization that had disappeared long before the people that made the trail ruins ever existed. The ocean ruins were obviously built when water levels were much lower. The climate must have been very different back then. This may explain why desert wells can be found in places where natural water features are not far away today. At the time when the wells were made, the land was probably much drier. But the trail ruins were constructed with materials found near rivers or swamps, which would not have been around when the ocean ruins were built and water was scarce. Another clue that the ocean ruins and trail ruins were not occupied in the same era is the different images on the pottery sherds found at each site. One can assume that the ocean ruins were abandoned when water levels rose, but it's possible that civilization could have collapsed much earlier than that. But what brought an end to the civilization that made the trail ruins? I don't have any good theories about that yet. Every artifact I find is another piece of the puzzle. It's a puzzle made of 1,000 pieces, and I'm trying to figure out the big picture from only a dozen of the pieces. With more exploration and excavation, with improved techniques, we can learn more about what happened in the distant past. Perhaps it will verify present theories, or maybe it will disprove them, and we'll have to come up with new theories based on the latest information. So the next time you find yourself sifting through the sand and gravel of an ancient ruin, remember that the things you find are not just loot you want to use, they're clues about the past. Lore of your Minecraft world that tell the story of what it was like long ago. Who lived there? Who built those ruins? How did they live? What were they like? What happened to them? That, my friends, is what I think archaeology is really about. There seem to be some pillagers that have taken an interest in this dig. Yeah, I've seen those guys around. And there's more over there behind me. Wow. Well, anyway, the dig is now complete. A couple things that you may have noticed in the time-lapse. The chunks that I laid out borders for, I had to expand and add a couple more chunks to the side. Also, this isn't a biome where it snows, and snow was building up on everything. So I put glass over the top of this, and then realized snow is still building up on the glass. So I put string on top of the glass. And that way, I still have a good-looking image on this map. Now, at the very end, I got a little bit lazy, and I decided I'm not going to dig out yet another chunk. I'm just going to dig out the tunnel for the final end of this road, which seems to slowly descend here in this direction, passing underneath current existing riverbed. But who knows what the terrain was like back in the day. Over here, there's a crafting table. It's an interesting feature. And as I mentioned earlier, there's a loom. Where's the loom? Over here. And now that all this work is finished, I realized things I could have done differently. I could have done even better. Instead of putting in a chest, in the order I got the stuff, all of the artifacts that I found in the suspicious gravel, and organizing it by the chunk that I found it in, I could have instead made note of the exact coordinates that the suspicious gravel that it came from was, and then using an anvil to actually rename the artifact with the coordinates that I found it at. That would have been a nice addition. It just didn't occur to me until after I was all done. Maybe next time. I also can't help but think, wouldn't it be cool to make a museum where I put these artifacts and maybe put up some kind of signs or other displays to show what these artifacts meant, where they were found, and what the significance of them are? Like, you know, a legitimate museum based on this archaeological dig. I'm just geeking out over the possibilities. Oh, I suppose I should also show what I found in that final part in the end. Just a few items. I never mentioned the candles and how they might fit into my theory about what the people that lived here were like, but there's many different colors of candles. You can see one of these hose. Different kinds of armor trim, hanging sign. Here's some of these pottery sherds. And also dead bushes. I'm not sure what the meaning of that is. And which chest is this? This is A3. I think there were more items in this particular chunk just because there was more of the structure in that particular chunk, and that's all the significance that it was. Which is why I think I probably should just name the artifacts that I find with the actual coordinates where I found them. That would have been a better way to do it. But I wonder if maybe you have different theories about what these trail ruins were about. Maybe you think I'm all wrong. Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this montage of me excavating this site, you might enjoy another montage I did in this Java world, building my base, in this video here. And next time I think I'm going to go back into the Divergence SMP and do a little bit more of the Lara Croft type of adventuring, exploring something new. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss that. Next time when Amon chooses Minecraft, Java vs. Bedrock.